has a longer time doing great amounts of good. But because we don't know, none of us know how long we're actually going to be around. There is something that that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala allows us to try and maximize whatever time we actually have, in order to produce as many deeds as we possibly can, as many good deeds as we possibly can. One of the things that the Shaykh brings up, and I'll mention the hadith after this, is that Allah Azza wa Jal can also put barakah in your time, so that you accomplish a lot, even if your lifespan is actually not that much. So even if you live 20 years or 40 years or whatever, but if you have the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal in your time because of your intention and because of your effort, then in a short span of time, you'll accomplish a lot. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, I remember the first time I read his biography or his introduction about his life. Imam Nawawi is a great scholar of the Shafi'i school, explained, wrote commentaries on the books of hadith. Is a very big hadith scholar in our tradition, right? But he died, they say he died when he was about 40 something years old, maybe 40 years old. But the number of books he's written is unbelievable. The number of academic works, scholarly works that he has published is unbelievable in areas of Islamic law and hadith sciences and all these kinds of things. He wrote a lot. And it's sometimes you imagine, what have we done? Like, we reach 40 years of age and we're like, what have we done in terms of, even within our own careers, what have we produced as knowledge for other people, right? And so whatever the line may be. But you see how Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala really put barakah in people's times, in their times. The Prophet ﷺ, in a span of 23 years, was able to go from starting calling people to Islam, to establishing an entire nation, right? An entire nation. And when you really think about it, what does it take to establish a nation? The kind of work that goes into building up a community from the ground up, all the way to the point where you now have a state that is run and that is expanding and that is spreading. Sometimes this can take hundreds of years. This can take a really long time before people can solidify something like this. But in a span of 23 years, he was able to do this. So even if we have shorter lifespans, we can have the barakah to do a lot more in those lifespans. And the Prophet ﷺ gave us a hint as to how to maximize the number of your deeds. So he says, "Man da'a ila huda, كان له من الأجر مثل أجور من تبعه لا ينقص ذلك من أجورهم شيئا." And there are other narrations similar to this. He says, whoever invites to an act of guidance, whoever invites people to good. There's another hadith, "Man dalla ala khair," whoever guides to that which is good, and that person, the guide, will have the ajr like the ajr of those who are doing the action, and that will not take anything away from their reward. So if you tell somebody to do something good and they go and do it, they get the reward for doing the good, and you get the reward for telling them to do the good thing, right? And this is one of those things, and again, there are narrations that the Prophet ﷺ worded this differently. "Man dalla ala khair falahu mithla ajri fa'ilihi." Whoever guides to anything that is good will have a similar reward to the one that does that action of good as well. So one of the ways we can maximize is by doing good deeds, and then by inviting people to do good deeds, by encouraging people to do good deeds. And surprisingly enough, one of the modern ways that's been facilitated for you is the share button, right? Whenever somebody, or the forward button, whenever somebody sends you something, there's an event that's happening, there's a lecture, or there's a talk, or there's something good is happening, and if you attend and you were there, even if it's a volunteer opportunity, whatever it is, there's an opportunity to do good, and then there's an opportunity to send that to many other people. And if anyone shows up because you sent it to them, then you get you're doubling or tripling. You're maximizing your ajr as well, right? So as problematic as social media can be, there's good uses of it as well, right? That share button, forwarding good opportunities to people in your circle, inviting them to come, and if they show up because they didn't know about it, they heard about it through you, then that's something that you can take advantage of as well. So sometimes it's not just verbally telling people. There's many ways of being able to share that goodness. But this is something we should be thinking about. What do we know that's good? An opportunity we have. And who can we invite? Who can we tell? Who can we guide? And if they take advantage of it, then alhamdulillah, that's something that we'll get the benefit of as well. But that's a great way to maximize the time you have versus the amount of deeds that you can get. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us the wisdom and understanding to be able to do these things. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.